Can a marriage ever be free of karmic debt and based on real love?
Can be, yes. See, we can't doubt that such a thing can happen. We shouldn't put any limits on heart nature. We should enter all relationships with an openness to be practicing something relative to the heart, even with casual relationships or work relationships. See, we are heart beings, but we have somehow or other developed a sense of callousness relative to the heart nature, and so we're very, very defensive and very protective and very fearful of relations and intimacy and all of that, until it's under the right or optimal circumstances, like it's got to be right for us. The idea is to be more heart open. If you're truly heart open, in a manner of speaking, in terms of the practice that I'm sharing with a few friends, then that's going to lead you into very, very wide situations. It's smart heart practice, see. It's not just emotional practice. Well, I'm not talking about emotion. I'm talking about heart practice, a whole different kind of resonance where we are okay with the universe. Heart is the universe. Universe is the heart. See, this is a concept, idea. And so it's a native practice. So it's not natural for us. It's human. It's also spiritual. And we can do that. So yeah, love can be there all the time. There's no question about it. Love is always here all the time. We just don't surrender to it in the way that we make it the priority. No, we don't. We just don't do that in general. People that come to me are not making love the priority. They're making work, survival, everything else but love the priority.
Would heart practice involve having a better handle on one's emotions?
Heart practice is a certain kind of work where it's not about your emotions as such, but it's not against emotions, so it's more of a question. It's not about emotion, yet it's not against emotion. So somewhere in between emotion and non-emotion, we're talking about very genuine and very appropriate heart practice that enables you to have access to other peeps to have relative access to you, without conflict, without division, without disturbance, then you can still have plenty of room to protect yourself at the same time. With this kind of heart practice, you know who to be around, and you know exactly what to open to them, because you have that kind of confidence in your heart feeling, your heart sense. So not feeling, but sense, heart intelligence.
Is the practice of celibacy considered to be a selfless act, or is it often motivated by selfishness?
It can be a selfless act. In my case, the circumstance of transcending the sexual impulse and the drive of lust was completely spontaneous. And so it can happen that way. I think these things are given to us and they are taken from us. And I think they are taken from some people, but they struggle not to let it go. And so they use it, they keep indulging themselves, and then they reach a point of no return, and then they create bad karma for themselves, sexually and physically. So we need to study our impulses, our deeper impulses of survival, which means to be happy, and what real happiness means, and what peace is in the mix, and what wisdom is for us in the process, finding the right mindset, instead of just being machines of neuroses, and being like our friends and our neighbors who are also machines of neuroses, and don't have a clue as to what healing is about, because they live off of nervous energy, and that's how they enjoy themselves, as being neurotics. And it's not that it's bad, we have to go through that. We all have to be neurotics to get beyond neuroses and know what being neurotic is. So it's all part of a progression from suffering to no suffering. See, from self to selfless. So when it does happen selflessly, not too many people understand that. They think, well, it's you're against sex. No, it's selfless movement from, let's say, high sexual practice and experience to zero for the time being. It's got nothing to do with itself. It's not about selfishness. It's really just about breathing. and coming into a certain balance with it and being okay with your own breathing. Say, yeah, I had desire before, I don't have it right now. And so, you know, you go to see a psychiatrist or somebody, a sexologist, and they tell you you're wrong, you're sick, there's something wrong with you, take these medications and come to the sex clinic and we'll show you how to get back into the machinery of sex, and that might throw you completely out of whack. Because it's not about what's natural according to society or medical, let's say, I guess you might say knowledge or expertise. This is really about a spiritual process, and it's not really comprehensible by people who are completely materialistic and mechanical. See? There's a time to move and there's a time to be still. See? It's not always obvious to everybody when they have to take a pause and when they need to get a breather, when they need to balance out and when they need to just stop, look and listen to something deeper for a change.
You mentioned sexual indulgence causing bad karma.
It can. No one's saying that. It can. It can. And just as no sex can also cause bad karma. It depends on the individual. Go on.
Well, my question is bad karma always bad karma, or could it actually be considered like a spiritual intervention of sorts?
Well, it could be great karma. Could be great karma. So we have to know what that means in our case. See? And to really know what it is we are pointing at here, you have to have an open mind. See? You have to be able to see the past, you have to be able to see the present, and you also have to have the intelligence to see the future. See? And consider what you really need. Do you need freedom from that, or do you need bondage to that all the time? It's really that simple. It's either the worship of bondage or let's say the impulse for freedom and liberation from such bondage, which could be for some people a form of bondage in itself. Because you're wanting to do something, so that urge to do, that desire then could be bondage, depending on the person. So we have to get beyond desires so that we are relaxed and able to know for sure with a certain kind of psychic openness relative to what our body really needs, not what we think it needs from a mechanical viewpoint, but what it really needs intuitively, which is karma less, not karma full, but karma less as well as karma full when you have time to think of it in those terms. See, the pros and the cons. See, looking into the future, it's easy as thinking about the past. See, if you take the moment to do that and see what you're creating. So there's no real mystery to this. It's rather, knowing how the creative mind works that everybody is endowed with.
Could you explain the difference between a selfless celibacy versus selfish celibacy?
Well, people who want to be celibate, thinking they're going to get higher, in a manner of speaking, make great spiritual strides, they may or but they may not. See, because they may not be ready for celibacy. They may not be ready for it. See? So you have to test it. In that case, it's an experiment. See? For some people, I recommend, not that they give up sex, but that they abstain from it periodically, so as to see if the body recovers and if something good or great comes out of the body and the mind in the process of the rest, sexual rest. See? And if nothing occurs, then of course they're always free. Everybody, has to be true to themselves and get back into the wrestling match, the sexual wrestling match. So, or what is it, Olympian, heroics for themselves, if that's what they're into, a porno way of life, if that's what gives them enhancement, enrichment, and some sense of liberation. Depending on their body, then that's what they should do. Everybody should do what they feel they have to do, but not be bound to it in a manner of speaking when it becomes a limitation. And that's, I guess you might say, their imprisonment. Don't be imprisoned by it. We are not just sexual machines. See, we're spirits. See, we're not just in the groin, we're up here in the head and above the head too. But who thinks about that except the occult wackos, right? Right? The crazy extreme artists that think more about the energy than the body. See, higher worlds, see, than the physical body is able to produce. So they have to depend more on cerebral means and methods to get them to a certain place, which is part of what their religious practice is about too, using your mind to bring to the body what the body is not able to produce for the mind.
Chapter 130 is titled Heart Love, Not Social Law Makes a Marriage. What is heart love, and how does it compare to the conventional definition of love?
Well, we're talking about a business arrangement. That's related to the conventional approach to marriage, and legal side of it. And then there's a different kind of love that precedes that, has a certain kind of resonance that is recognizable by some people, and maybe not even known about by other people. See? So you have parents that get you married. They say, "No, we think this boy is better for you, or this girl is better for you," and then you're influenced by that and what your parents feel, or you can fight that if you choose. And remember, you're a product of a certain kind of culturing, so not all of your choices are going to be right for you anyway, and you have to learn that the hard way. Some people take several marriages before they can find a degree of friendship in a certain relationship, let alone an ideal marriage. See?
For most individuals who have realized heart love, would they still have a desire to get married? If so, would their reasons for wanting to marry change?
Well, we're talking about if you do enter this resonance of heart love, you can marry or not be married because you're already ultimately married in the resonance. The resonance is it. It's perfect. See, and getting married, having the legal bond and wearing rings and all that doesn't certify anything, doesn't guarantee or prove anything except, okay, so you tied the knot under certain conditions, and that's the first step to a divorce. And that's what usually happens. Marriage is the first step to the divorce.
From chapter 131, you write, self-preservation must be translated to mean higher self-preservation. What is higher self-preservation?
Well, you have to have some sense of the higher self. It's not higher ego preservation. It means no self. See? And so there is no self, which is a form of preservation. And then you have selfishness, which is another form or type of preserving self, preserving oneself as such. And then you have what would be called, the same, I guess you might say, illustration in terms of people being unenlightened and enlightened. You have the unenlightened preservation, and then you have an enlightened sense of preservation. And then if we look a little bit more clearly into what enlightenment means, there's no concept realization, conceptual lessness, and non-conceptual realization in general, then there's going to be a whole different sense of reality and a whole sense of preservation that is not even conceivable. It's not thought about. It's just being. Things are happening, and you're in the flow of that. You're in the Tao, and so it's not like you're preserving anything or not preserving anything. See, everything is taking care of itself, and that means being in a certain kind of harmony, a sense of union with the the flow of life. See, not in conflict with it.
Does destruction on all levels always serve a purpose, even when perceived as being negative?
Negative, we talk about natural disasters and things like that, are never negative. But remember, the whole idea of destruction is a perception that we have. See, as distinct from creation, when it's all the same thing, it's just change. Okay? So we make these, I guess you might say these, intellectual sort of, I guess, determinations about what is and what isn't, and whether creation is good or creation is bad, and that's all relative. So we have to understand that it's nothing that's really being destroyed in a sense. Lives are being taken, and other things are being created from the viewpoint of the natural universe. It's not concerned about these things. It's not saying this or that about anything. So if we have a deeper sense of what it is, yes, there's things being changed, and we're losing and gaining at the same rate, it would appear, for many peeps. And so it's really a matter of interpreting phenomena and being subject to, let's say, the negative effects of certain kinds of interpretations, and or the positive effects of other kinds of interpretations of the very same phenomena. Okay.
Chapter 132, you write, "Death neither warrants nor is worth the energy of dreadfulness. Rather, death is to be known as an inevitable experience which is desirable, necessary, perfectly natural and spiritual." Why is death desirable, and do we all on some levels desire death?
Yes, death as change is part of our nature. We want transformation. We want to outgrow, what we've been. If we have any pain related to it or negative energy with it, yeah, we want change. See? So we want to let go of what's been. And some people want death like as soon as possible, especially when you're of an age and you're in chronic pain and you're up against the wall there and they're not giving you pain medications to satisfy your pain. Yeah, you welcome death. A lot of people welcome death. They're just dying for it to happen. They're dying to die. And so because there's an intuition, see, that's deeper than the ego in itself, that says, no, it's release. It's peace. Yeah, let's get it on, peace. So, there are those who want to be helped in their dying process, understandably. They want to leave this dimension with graceful support, see, rather than wicked judgment that they're doing something against nature. No, we're here to die. Dying is part of our living, and we have to own up to that. I mean, we are dying moment to moment and being regenerated moment to moment, relatively speaking, as we approach our own final destination, see, our last moment on earth. We're here to die, absolutely. Like it or not, you're going. You're already gone, so enjoy the ride.
Why in some cases do people hang on even when they don't want to and they in fact do desire death? Is it due to the influences of those around them?
It's just built-in programming, attachment. So it's not knowing any better. So they're used by programs. So it's an instinctual program, which is totally natural and painful. And then if we get to a point where we can recognize the program as such and say to the program, hey, I don't want this, this is not what I am anymore, I feel I don't need to be holding on this way or that way to this person or that person or to this thing or that thing, and you can be free of that. You can actually be beyond that kind of attachment and find peace and happiness without that suffering, even though death is painful. Okay? Losing loved ones is painful for a moment. Yeah.
Can the fear of dying motivate some people to practice? And if so, is that a common motivator for beginners?
Absolutely. Yeah. But people don't want to die. They don't want to die under certain conditions. People want to learn how to live. So it certainly can motivate people to do better for themselves so that they are not dying under certain conditions and they may be able to die under other conditions of their own creation. So it's part of our creative intelligence manifesting as and adapting to, let's say, life circumstances with a positive, say, sense of reality and positive sense of direction. Yeah. And humor even. Oh, I'm glad that's not me dying right now. Better than me. You go first. There is that. Right? Mm-hmm.
Chapter 133 is titled The Blessings of Calamity. Mm-hmm. In what way can a calamity be seen as a blessing?
Well, sometimes it takes a calamity to wake people up to themselves. What they're doing. It's like being knocked out of a stupor. Being awakened suddenly. It's like falling asleep at the wheel, and then all of a sudden you hit the car in front of you, and you tap it, and you wake up right away, and you realize, wow, I was asleep. You didn't know you were asleep. So we don't know we are asleep until we are suddenly awakened, and that can happen under all conditions at different levels of intensity, depending on what the individual needs to be awakened to in their own case. So awakening is a process that is ongoing and highly, highly recommended for people. So it's good to say, wake up everybody, because we're busy staying asleep, thinking we're awake.